We are all doing life, but who knew life could be this funny? It's Doing Life with Maria and Chad, our podcast.
As we get started, Maria, I do have a question to ask you. Do you think our 14-year-old daughter, Georgia, is more like me or my wife?
Ooh, I'm going to say she's more like you, just because I know you guys like to run together and you hike together. I think I'm going to go with you on this one.
All right. Well, the reason I ask is later on in the podcast, I have a confession to make about something I did and how she reacted that may solve that mystery for you. Lots of things coming up on the podcast, but stay tuned for that. You know this, Maria. I am a sports fan, but I wouldn't say that I'm a sports fanatic. When I'm around people that know sports, I'm a dummy because I don't know all the players, but I enjoy vegging out in front of the TV watching various sports.
Sure.
So, one of the shows, my wife is not as interested in sports as I am. One of the shows that I can talk her into watching with me is kind of like if 60 Minutes met sports. There's a show on HBO called Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel.
Okay.
And, you know, Bryant, I think he was on the Today Show. And
yeah, I think I've actually heard of that, but I don't think I've watched it.
The stories are super good. Like it's been on for years and I don't think I've missed a single episode. So it's always, you know, there was a NFL long snapper who watched his dad kill his mom. And
oh my God.
Dad went to prison. He took up magic. Went to the NFL, and now he was on America's Got Talent. I mean, the stuff is crazy. So they pick these crazy stories. But in the most recent episode, and I got my wife to watch this with me, they talk about the concept of kids in sports, and especially in COVID times, there's not as many trophies and medals being held out. So they're talking to people who manufacture trophies, and they're not selling as many because there aren't as many sports leagues around the country.
Makes sense.
But the thing that really caught my attention when they were talking to some parents and organizers of sports leagues, and even the people that make and manufacture trophies, they said that they actually make 17th place medals for kids sports.
No.
And in certain leagues, a lot of leagues, this one group of leagues that's all over the country, everyone gets a trophy.
I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Hate it. Have I mentioned that I hate that?
You did. And I'm not a huge fan, but I don't know which side of the fence I sit on as I really analyze it. They were talking about the long-range impact of giving every kid a trophy. For example, the kids that receive these unearned rewards when they go to college, for your daughter's in college, and they get a bad grade, they're like, well, what? They don't know how to handle working for something, earning something, because as a child, you know, even though they didn't keep score, everybody got a trophy. Like, I guess that's not how I was brought up. I don't think you were either, right?
Well, no, you had to earn it. And I mean, I remember going home after field day in middle school or high school or whatever, and you missed it by that much. You know, you got fourth place, so you got nothing. There was a first place, a second place, and a third place, and everybody else got nothing. And that teaches you to be, I don't know what the right word is, disappointed, or, you know, learning to be disappointed. I guess you learn. That's a learned experience. Does that make sense?
We're both parents. Yes, we're both parents. So if our kid gets fourth place, or God forbid, 17th place or whatever, you get nothing. But in my mind, again, I'm not completely sure which side of the fence I sit on. I like the idea of rewarding kids and encouraging them and being positive. So I think that's probably the reason this exists, you know, because all the parents want to get a bunch of trophies for their kid's bedroom and show that their kid is great, even though they're horrible and struck out every time at the baseball game. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I watched this episode, and at one point I'm like, I feel this way. And then I hear the other argument to it. I don't know what the right thing is. Now, your daughter was into karate all the way through school, up through high school, very successful. Right. I'm sure there were times where she missed the cut and didn't get a trophy, or was she always winning?
No, she wasn't always winning, but she won a lot. And with her, she obviously liked first place and second place. And they would give out fourth place medals. So they'd have a first place, second place, third place trophy, and then a fourth place medal. And she would get this medal and be like, yeah, whatever. Like, she knew she didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
Having said that, she's pretty hard on herself, and so she's not really a good example. But what I don't like is when they would have these. She played volleyball too, and and I understand the little kids. It means more to the little kids, but I just don't think that everyone deserves a participation trophy. Yay, you participated. So what? I mean, this is what I think. First place, second place, third place, just like the Olympics. And then afterwards, for the little kids, have an ice cream party.
Yeah. Or
the snacks you get at halftime during the soccer game, the oranges and the granola or whatever. That's your participation trophy. You get snacks because you participated. You don't get a symbol of winning just for being there. That's not right. I think it's exactly what you said. It sets them up to be disappointed later in life because they don't know how to lose. They have to learn how to lose and do it gracefully and learn from losing to do better next time. Why even go if you're going to get a trophy anyway? You need to have something that makes you want to be better. I kind of got on a soapbox there. Sorry.
No, I don't disagree with it. And I see both sides. I agree with what you're saying, but I also see the other side. One other thing I want to say before we move on from this is they interviewed this is again on Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel on HBO. They interviewed the manufacturer of these trophies, and they started out as a family business. They had a little store, and now they've got a warehouse, and they sell, it's like a $5 million business a year, something crazy. But the thing that they pointed out when they were preparing one shipment for these kids is they had all these trophies, and there's a little plaque on it for the one organization that did first, second, and third. But every trophy looked the same, except for the little plaque that said first, second, third. They all say champion on them.
See, and if I was a little kid and I earned first place and my trophy looked just like the loser, 17th place, I'd be kind of pissed. I'm sorry.
It's a little confusing. If you follow us on social media, you probably do if you're listening to us at Maria and Chad, and of course, Maria and Chad on Facebook. We'll continue the argument on there because I know there are a lot of parents that have listened to us on the radio and now listen to our podcast. So I'm sure the opinions will be plenty. So please comment and share and, let us know what you think about everybody getting a trophy and what we've just been talking about. But I know I'm kind of
a little irritated right now.
Well, I don't know that there's a clear exact answer, at least in my heart. I know that you feel the way that you do. I can see why it is. I can see why. And I am all for encouraging kids. All right, we got to move on. But
okay, sorry.
We're going to talk in circles about this. But you had some TV shows that you wanted to share on the podcast?
Well, I saw this list of, they always come out this time of year, the shows that are canceled, the shows that are renewed. I saw, you have a friend, a college friend who's in This Is Us.
Yeah.
That was renewed. So he's safe.
And they're coming back early. Actually, he just posted today, Justin Hartley, yeah.
But some of the shows I was surprised that were canceled. Modern Family, The Big Bang Theory, but then the Little Sheldon was renewed.
Sheldon, yeah.
Or Young Sheldon, yeah. And I think Big Bang Theory, they ended up making so much money, it wasn't worth the network. Like they kept getting the staff, the actors kept getting raises, and all of a sudden it was an expensive show to make. Plus their raises, I think they just couldn't afford to do it anymore. And then Criminal Minds, and I know your wife likes the Criminal Minds. So
if somebody's dying, she's watching. She loves death.
NCIS, Criminal Minds, all of them. But Criminal Minds will not be back.
I should mention, if I disappear someday, I will never be found. And there will never be anybody charged with my crime because my wife will do whatever she needs to do to cover it up. She's been studying, which is a little scary, for way too long. Jumping back to Modern Family, we watched all the episodes. It was something that we could watch, for the most part, with our daughter through the years. I mean, it was family friendly. And there was warning. It was, promoted as the final season of Modern Family. So that's not a COVID thing. Big Bang Theory, I never really watched that. Did they wrap that up and have a finale? I don't know.
I would watch it sporadically. I wasn't every week I got to watch Big Bang Theory. It's pretty funny. But I mean, I just know it's a big name show, I guess, and it's won a lot of awards and all that kind of stuff. So I was just surprised that particular one was not coming back.
I thought we would do a little something different on today's podcast, Maria. I'll let you choose the prize that you win if you're able to get the fake out. Before we get going, think about, what would you like to win for a prize today?
Oh, I want a participation trophy.
Of course you do. Good answer. Here we go.
You are a liar. You are a fake.
Maria and Chad present.
Is this for real? Do you ever fake it?
Get the fake out.
That was a fake.
I think I'm for real.
This is genuine plastic, gold-plated participation trophy for you if you win.
Ooh, does the little plate say champion on it?
It does. It does. And we can get it engraved, but your parents going to have to give us a little extra money to get that done for you.
I got to pay for my own participation trophy. That sucks. Okay.
If you're new to the podcast, Get the Fake Out is a game that I write for Maria to play. Maria is going to hear a bunch of headlines here. I've got 4 headlines today. And you pick out which one is fake, which one is made up. That's why we call it Get the Fake Out.
Got it.
Here we go. Number 1. This is going to be fun to pronounce, and I did this on purpose. The World Meteorological Organization, WMO, the World Meteorological Organization, held an online contest to name the next hurricane. And you may have guessed it, they came up with Hurricane McHurricane face. That was the winner.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Been a lot of hurricanes this year. Number 2. Speaking English can spread coronavirus more than speaking other languages.
Stupid.
Peanut gallery. All right. Number 3. A school district had to put out a reminder to parents not to be in your underwear with big joints in your hands during your kids' virtual schooling.
Oh, big joints as in, I was thinking like you're
Drugs.
fat and you have big joints, but no, like the smoking joints.
You got rheumatoid arthritis. Get out of the screen. No, I'm talking about drugs. And finally, Sonic put a single cup of ice for sale on eBay, and the winning bid was $11,211 for a cup of ice.
Wow. All right, let me talk this out a little bit. The district reminds parents not to be in your underwear smoking blunt. I believe that's true because I picture it, the kid's probably doing his video schooling and the parents in the background and, hey, Billy, tell dad to put some pants on. I just want to say it, World Meteorological Day. Did I say the World Meteorological Organization says you can name a hurricane? Why not? Good social media.
Okay.
Speaking English spreads coronavirus more than any. That's ridiculous. No offense, Chad. God, I hope you made that up. I mean, it's just kind of a dumb thing because it's dumb. And people will buy anything on eBay. So I'm going to go with number 2 is the fake story.
Oh, man, Maria. That is a real headline, number 2.
I totally threw you under the bus.
Nope, you can Google it. Speaking English can spread coronavirus more than speaking other languages. It's because English is a language that leads to a lot of spitting. Who knew? I would have thought it would have been German, but that's like nothing is projectile with the German, you know?
Wieder
sniffle. I think if you don't know how to do it, a lot of stuff comes out of your mouth. But
or why not the French?
Yeah, they're very spitty.
Or Italian.
Yep, that's the real headline.
All right.
So the fake one is the one that I wanted to mispronounce. The World Meteorological Organization did not have a contest to rename the hurricane, naming it Hurricane McHurricane Face. Remember, it was Bodie McBoatface?
Right. And I should have known that because they come out with the names of hurricanes before the hurricane season even starts. They have a list and they go down the list.
And they've already reached Z, so I think now they're on Roman numerals? Or
really?
Greek, I think it's Greek something or other, like alpha. I don't know. But yeah, once they run out until the season's over, and then they'll start with names with A next season. So, all right, so let's go through the other ones here. Of course, in Florida, this happened. The school district did have to put out a reminder to parents telling them to not be in your underwear smoking big joints in the background, because I guess that happened. It's kind of funny that they actually had to word it that way because they had a case. And the deal with Sonic is kind of like what you said. People will buy anything on eBay.
Yeah.
This was last week. They said they were auctioning it off for charity, and the money would go towards supplies for teachers.
Oh.
So that got people's heartstrings. They donated over $11,000 and donated it to teachers that were homeschooling and then teachers that were in person that needed supplies for the school year. So,
well, and Sonic does have the best ice out of all the fast food restaurants.
There was something. Oh, they've got a secret menu thing that came up on my social media feed. Yeah.
Ooh,
I don't
what?
have it in front of me. It was like a combo of like something with their tater tots and chili and something very bad for you, but it looked really tasty.
Well, that was fun.
Well, you're not going to get your trophy. I apologize.
Oh, I don't get my trophy. Bummer. You know, it's funny though. This could have been get the fake out. Ketchup candy canes.
Ketchup candy canes. That's for Christmas?
There's a company, and I think they kind of put out the mac and cheese candy canes and kale flavored candy canes. They do all the weird ones. It's Archie McPhee is the company.
Uh-huh.
And they're red and white. They're like $5, $6, $7 a box for 6 candy canes. And I only bring this up because wouldn't that be a great prank? You get a red and white candy cane and you think it's going to be mint, and instead it tastes like ketchup. That would be a great prank. Right?
I wonder if it's good. I mean, if they're manufacturing that almost, I'm not a huge ketchup person, but there's enough sugar and sweet in ketchup that might actually not be gross, right?
Well, would you eat a spoonful of ketchup? No.
If I got a trophy, yes, I would. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would. I mean, there's nothing bad about it. Would you?
I don't. I think I had my share of bad food with the turkey candy corn.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to try ketchup candy canes. And the only kind of ketchup candy cane I want is if it's a French fry shaped like a candy cane and I dip it in some ketchup, then I'm good to go.
They, they just keep creating these products because people will buy them. You know, it's good for a prank, like you said. I mean, I don't know what Christmas is going to look like this year if you're getting together with people, but that's like, oh, I brought the ketchup candy canes. Yeah, I think that's what sells it. It's probably they make less of them. They probably mark them up and charge more than candy canes and do it once, and then next year they'll have mustard candy canes.
Yeah, it's definitely the novelty of the whole thing. Oh, and speaking of mustard, remember when I made mustard ice cream?
I do.
French's. It was like last year, French's came out with a recipe for mustard ice cream, and I actually made it. And I personally don't like mustard, but it wasn't bad with pretzels.
Yeah, no, I actually liked it. I could see that even marketed year round. I was teasing this before we started the podcast. I said that I would make a confession on today's podcast, and it's not super serious, but it occurred to me, and I'm like, I should probably share this with Maria and the people that listen to our podcast. So I don't know if I've ever confessed this to you. As a teenage and young Chad, I was not a big fan of reading. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I ever was like tested for ADD. I don't know that I really have it, because if I really focus on something, I can. But I remember as a kid, I would sit in my bedroom when I had to read a book for school to do a book report or whatever, and I would read an entire page, and I could pronounce the words, but it didn't sink in, right?
Right.
I would just be reading, but it wasn't getting in my head. I have a feeling that my daughter is much like me.
Oh, really?
Regard. You know, my wife is brilliant. We've said that many times. She's a scientist and she knows a lot of things, and she's opposite of me. She was a big reader and likes to read. So our daughter, before fall break, has to read this book. So my confession is this. Yesterday was early release day from her school.
Yeah.
So when I picked her up, I bribed her with In-N-Out Burger. And I said, all right, we'll go to In-N-Out Burger. When we get home, you'll read at least an hour with your book. Was it successful? What do you think?
I think she sat in her room and pretended to read for an hour if she was like you.
She may have. I didn't hover over her. She did move her bookmark. She did that, and it's the reason I think it was successful is I saw where it was at before she started. She's more than halfway through with the book now.
So did she get into it then by forcing her to sit there for an hour? Did she kind of get into the book then?
She said she did. She needs to. I mean, her fall break starts at the end of next week, so she's got to wrap this up and she's got to do a report and all that stuff. So I think it worked. I felt a little guilty. You know, you were talking about earlier in the podcast giving these special treats, taking them for ice cream and blah, blah, blah. I try not to reward with food, but it's hard as a parent. It's like, okay, you can have ice cream. You can have In-N-Out is like her weakness. She loves it. So it did work. I do have one last thing to throw in on the podcast before we wrap up today. And I want to thank Dan, who does a lot of our editing of our videos and stuff like that. He made us a very dramatic intro for this.
The final question.
Ooh, spooky.
Fun.
So it is time for our final question. And this is a question that I want you to answer, Maria, and I want everybody listening to talk about it and share and do it on social media. But this is the question for today. Do you miss something that you did as a kid that you would love to do now? Again, do you miss something that you did as a kid that you would just love to be able to do it right now?
Okay, you go first.
I would say, and this is partially because of the age that I grew up and then our daughter's age now. When I was a kid, we were free. We played the largest game of hide and seek in our whole neighborhood, and my parents had no idea where I was. You know,
Yeah.
I could have been in the creepy guy down the street's house, hiding in his bedroom. You know, I could have been anywhere, and we were running, we were hiding, and it was till dark, basically.
Well, in the Midwest, though, where you grew up and I grew up as well, there weren't fences.
exactly.
Like every yard, like we're in Arizona, and every yard has a cement block fence around it. When we grew up, your neighbor's yard was your yard, and you had a whole block or 10 to play in because, for the most part, the neighbors didn't care if you ran through their yard.
I can visualize myself. We had in our backyard, we had some bricks, like a brick pile, because my dad was redoing the side of the house. And that was like the best hiding place. Like I would create this little wall around me and I would be there for, seemed like hours. I don't know, probably 10 minutes, but you know, we would play and then get caught and we'd play again. And I don't know. That was just a really fun part of my childhood. So that was the first thing that popped into my head was when I asked the question. So do you miss something that you did as a kid that you would love to do now? Okay,
I have two. I can never only have one. I have two, and they both have to do with my backyard, coincidentally enough. I grew up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and our driveway ended into our backyard, and then you had to turn to the right to go into the garage. So the driveway was just straight to the backyard. And in the winter, my dad would pay the snowplow guy to push all the snow to the end of our driveway. So we had this, you know, as a kid, this 20-foot hill, and we could climb up that and just have our own sledding in the backyard.
Oh, that's awesome.
And those are just great memories. And I remember one time the snowplow had come through and there was no big pile up. And I'm like, Dad, what happened? He goes, oh, I forgot to ask the guy. I'm like, oh, and the other one in the summer, completely different season. I remember, and I don't know how many times we did this, maybe twice, 2 or 3 times. All the neighborhood kids, my brothers and I, and the neighborhood kids would put together, I think we called it a circus. And the different parents would come by and, pay a dime to watch or a quarter to watch. And we would have the dogs do tricks. And I remember my brother Michael took a piece of cardboard and cut a circle out of it, and we painted it, and people could throw wet sponges at him. And it was just this whole little backyard festival. And I think the preparing for the little circus was probably more fun than the circus itself. Yeah. But those were just great memories, having, all the neighborhood kids over, and we have snacks and trophies and no kidding.
Everyone gets a trophy that participates.
But That's it was awesome. Really fun putting it together. And I mean, families don't do that anymore. Everybody's so locked up in their house playing video games. They don't do anything outside and creative.
Especially now. What were the dog tricks? If you remember, do you remember what the dogs would do?
Well, I know Jody was my dog, and she was a little poodle, and I believe she could sit. Uh-huh. And I believe we took a hula hoop, and we tried to get him to jump through the hula hoop. Uh-huh. I tried to put a little hat on her, like a birthday hat, so she'd look like a clown or something, and I don't think that really worked. I mean, it was a long time ago, but I just remember the hula hoop and trying to have her fetch, and she hated that, or he hated that. Kids' tricks that a 6-year-old can do with a dog.
This is going to be fun. This is kind of nostalgic. So answer this question at Maria and Chad on Instagram, Maria and Chad on Facebook. Do you miss something that you did as a kid that you would love to do now? Tell us what that is and post on it. Comment, etc., and we'll look forward to that, and we'll try to recap those on our next podcast. But we are available for free on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pandora, Podbean, and you can see us on YouTube. You can actually go on there. We're waving. Hey, you can see us. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications there on YouTube so you don't miss an episode. But that's it. Thank you so much for listening and watching our podcast.
Thanks again for listening to Doing Life with Maria and Chad. Follow us on Instagram at Maria and Chad and Facebook. You can now listen on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, the free Amazon Music app, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pandora, Podbean, and of course, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode.